So I just got done with a podcast earlier today, and I wanted to share something with all of you about franchisees following the franchise system. How well do you do it? Is there a franchise system that should be followed regardless? Is it different in different markets? And I think some of you will find this this video of the podcast a relief, and hopefully it will just be helpful. So here we go.
And I'll tell you, I don't think there's a franchisee out there that quote unquote follows the model, right? 100%. Because what we know is that every market is different, right? Every space is different. Every franchisee is different. All that stuff's different. So there is not a 50 state, 1,000 location answer to every question, right? So I also give my franchisees the autonomy and independence to run their business the way they need to. And if what they're doing makes sense and it's not, hurting their neighbor or, detrimentally hurting the brand, we also allow them the leeway, right? I learned early on with franchisees, if you put them in a really small box, they tend to get claustrophobic and they jump out, right? And then you're herding kittens all day long. If you put them in a big box, they have plenty of room to run around, be independent. They don't really realize they're in a box, but they're still in a box, right? So they're in a protected zone, right? And so you give them the ability to follow the model mostly, right? And as long as they're following the main pieces of the model, they're having a great attitude with it, it's great. It's not like we don't like to be challenged. I mean, Brian used to write me emails all the time in the beginning, like you suck here, you suck there, whatever. And I welcome it, right? Because really the way
So this is a franchisor, Anthony Geisler. Just amazing in the boutique fitness space. This podcast will be coming out here in the next few weeks. But this is what this podcast was like. It was just him dropping value like what you saw. And a lot of franchisees are going to resonate with that. The franchisor has them in such a tight box. And that box is going to restrict them, and they're not going to want to operate within that box, even though they could. They're going to want to get out of that box, and they're always going to be challenging the franchisor, and it's going to be a relationship that will be no fun for the franchisee and for the franchisor. And there's different personalities that will fit well within that small box, but mostly personalities that will not fit well in that box. And unfortunately, a lot of franchisors want to tell you, follow the system, because they have robots on the other end in the corporate office that are telling you all you need to do is follow the system. If you're not doing A, B, C, and D right, then it's your fault. A good franchisor, some of the best franchisors that I've seen out there, are going to allow you room to understand that your market is different. And that's what we started to get into later on in the podcast, is giving the franchisee room and then not getting defensive as the franchisor all the time, so you can actually be productive. The franchisor can learn from the franchisee can learn from the franchisor. Do it in a productive way, and where the franchisor is not always caving into everything that a bunch of different franchisees want or they think is right, but they're taking that and they're listening and they're understanding what's going on, and they will change some things as a result of that. Those are some of the things we get into in this podcast that we did. So stay tuned.